Segment, we're going to talk about a little bit about Preservation Racine, and I have with us Robin Coventry, who is the president of Preservation Racine. She's taking on a really tough project right now. I think it's tough at any rate. When you talk about preservation, you talk about kind of generally, that's stagnation. Let's not change anything. Let's keep it there. But Robin's going to tell us today how Preservation Racine is actually going to help the city of Racine grow. You know, we've lost 20%, nearly 20% of our population, Robin. Mm-hmm. We used to be 95,000, the third largest city in the state. We're down to number 5 and only 79,000 people. We need to get back up there.
Yes, we do.
And how is Preservation Racine going to participate in that project?
Well, it's an interesting, and it goes back a long time ago. It's not something new. We just need to reinvent ourselves. A sustainable neighborhood is by default a historic neighborhood, designed before the invention of the automobile or air conditioning. The layout of these neighborhoods placed stores, churches, schools, jobs, and recreation in close proximity to each other.
Right,
Houses were designed with high ceilings, transoms, and operable windows, which now provide contemporary residents with an energy-conscious alternative to modern heating and cooling systems. These types of neighborhoods have lasted from generations and past generations to the present and will allow future generations to live, work, and play there. I took that quote because we need to recognize as a community that we have assets in this community, our historic elements, houses, artifacts, need to be recognized as a sustainable element, bringing back, creating jobs. It's interesting. If we were to put a number at it, let's say $1 million in restoration for, let's put an example, the Christmas house, that would create 36 jobs.
Okay, that would just be putting, that's the great big house close to the lake there.
36 jobs. So quantify the numbers. That's direct impact.
Okay.
Then we have indirect impact. So let's say these fellows go out and they buy lumber. Where are they going to buy their lumber? They're going to buy it at a local establishment. They're going to buy their lumber. They may even possibly decide to live here in Racine. So they restore their house. Then they buy groceries. Those are all indirect impacts. So that's how it grows the economy. Now we've created community. So in that sense, community, economy, and environment all play together. So not only are we taking this house, or a house, instead of tearing it down, we're reusing, we're recycling, we're not hurting the environment, and we're creating community again.
Well, we have all this, what you might call superstructure that's sitting there. Mm-hmm. We have vacant buildings, vacant homes for people to live in, vacant
and
buildings
they're affordable, which is interesting.
I think
and they're
that's
affordable
the
housing. So once, and in fact, I can use another example. I live on South Main, directly across from Wisconsin. I moved in 3.5 years ago, and I've had a neighbor come up to me just recently and say, "Look what you've started." I started restoring my historic home. Across the street, we've had enabled, probably because of affordable housing, new people have come in, and I'm talking young families with children. They've bought these affordable houses that were either foreclosed or vacant.
Okay. Right.
Bought them at $40,000, I heard, one family. Beautifully restored them. They now work here. The one woman is a policewoman, the wife. They work here, and the other fellow works for the Parks and Recreation Department. They've restored their houses beautifully. So, and there is for our next generation. They have families. So we're not only, restoring, educating for the next generation, we're retaining them here.
Well, I've experienced that. I've seen that.
And they're bringing back into the economy.
Right. I've seen that in areas of Chicago where they got extremely degraded, crime-ridden, and they call it regentrification.
Of course.
In other words, people would come in, they'd pick up these houses. Some of them, in fact, I worked on one project like that, where they stripped it down to
the. You're creating community again because you're getting volunteers. So remember what we did? We all collaboratively worked together,
Mm-hmm.
and we volunteer, we engage, let's fix it. Rather than leaving it sitting vacant, we're gonna have a plan, and this is where Preservation Racine has, and this is what I'm doing. I'm putting a plan in place for the Christmas house, right now as we speak. I'm collaboratively working with partners, Educators Credit Union, Gateway. We are putting a plan in place so that we can restore that house.
Now that
back
makes
to
some
its
sense.
integrity.
The regentrification, as far as I know, that went on in Chicago was all just naturally came about just through the free market. People wanted to live in that area. One of them, by the way, was Wrigleyville.
Right.
I talked to one contractor whose dad had lived there. He moved out because of shots being fired, and sold his house for $7,000. Over like a 6-year period, an 8-year period, it changed hands 4 or 5 times, and the last time it was going for over $100,000. And it's just because
And it also
people wanted to
creates
live
that
there.
trend.
That's right.
You're going to retain the value of your house because you've created a community.
Well, yeah, and those,
I mean,
those
there's
houses have a
6
particular structure and
Correct.
architecture that fits in with the period and of the whole neighborhood. So you're not seeing a bunch of these newly built
No.
houses like we're seeing around Racine.
Right.
But the point that you're bringing out is Preservation Racine is going to try and act kind of as
Catalyst.
a catalyst, yeah,
Catalyst.
to move this along and encourage it rather than just wait for the
No, we're not waiting
eventual
anymore.
happen.
We're not. We've got a plan in place, and each one of these historic neighborhoods, as I call it, I was very encouraged. Last week, I took a drive by a house that's been vacant for some time on Park Avenue. Incredible home with a barn in the back. It's zoned either residential or commercial. So, you know, these are the opportunities that we need to recognize as a city, where we can put in place a restoration that brings back our neighborhood, brings back the historic element of which is an asset to this community. And also what it does is it drives the real estate value up. It creates pride, creativity. It instills a community. We work together, partnerships. I mean, I'm talking with Modine, Twin Disc, Case. We all want to see the Christmas house back to its original glory. We've got Milwaukee residents involved. We've got out-of-state residents involved. They all recognize what we have in Racine. Why don't we recognize what we have in Racine? And that's our role. Preservation Racine. Collaboratively, we'll be working with Junior League, Educators Credit Union. I want to say thank you to our community. This is all not new to you. Preservation Racine has been around for 40 years. We want to say thank you to all of our volunteers and our homeowners on our recent tour, which was a huge success. We raised $15,000 on that tour.
Okay, well, thank you for that, Robin.
Thank
and,
you. Thank you, George. And this is a continuing process.
We will have you back on and let us
so
know how
much.
it's going.
Yes,
all right?
thank you. Appreciate
all right. In the meantime, we're going to come up with our next segment. We're going to take a little break here, and then we're going to talk to Tim Jorgen on sociopathy and politics. Another great topic.
Thanks,
Stay
George.
tuned.